Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Usayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?
Good morning, Nigeria. You're now tuned to your favorite youth-powered breakfast show, a space where vibrant minds unpack everything from politics to governance, social realities, tech innovations, and the everyday issues that shape our future. Today, we spotlight a theme close to every Nigerian heart, the democracy we desire. And it's not just about elections, but expectations, equity, and the kind of nation we want to build together. As Abraham Lincoln once said, the ballot is stronger than the bullets, but the real power lies in what happens after the ballot. I'm Oluchi Precious Omeka, and as always, I'm excited to share the table with none other than God's Beauty herself. We've got a loaded conversation ahead, and trust me, you don't want to miss a second of today's show. Let's dive in. Good morning, God's Beauty.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm good. How are you doing today?
I'm beautiful, thank you.
I mean, it's, when I was coming in this morning, there was this realization that just, hits me so hard.
Tell me.
I'm like, why am I wearing pink on Democracy Day? I'm giving Barbie vibes. And I just realized I should have worn green or something, earthy, something to symbolize the nation Nigeria, because it's a day, to highlight the essentials of democracy and why important it is as a nation to uphold the very integrity of this, a fact. And I felt like, oh, well, we're going to wing it. I've worn the pink already. I'm already on my way to work. But it's beautiful to see that, it's a holiday for some people, not us. We're here working, talk what we desire. So that means there's what we desire. There's the ideal, and then there's the reality. So I'm waiting for the day when the ideal and the reality matches. So there's an ideal democracy that every Nigerian should see, that the world should even have generally, not just a Nigerian thing, but of course we have to focus on our nation. Then there's the reality, what we see just play around and pass around. So it's a moment of deep reflection. It's not just one of those celebrations where you are thinking of looking beautiful and, just enjoying yourself. It's a moment of reflection. I was checking one of Uwe's posts this morning, and it was a wake-up call in that sense, because it was highlighting how change can start from the individuals themselves. And I think that is a major way I perceive life generally. That's the perspective I love to hold. So what does democracy mean to you? How do you perceive it? The holidays.
I think, I think it's that time where we as a nation or as citizens of this country, reflect on what exactly is going on. Why are we not, seeing the ideal democracy, what democracy is supposed to look like? Why exactly are we where we are today? And yes, I would go by what the last things you said, which is the fact that if you look at why we are where we are in this country, you understand that it's most of the times it's more like a personal problem. I mean, many people would say that the government will have a reflection of who we are as citizens.
As citizens,
do you understand?
Because the citizens that they became.
Do you understand?
I mean, they are the ones on set.
Exactly. So if you are against one person that is on seat because of the person is embezzling and all of that, you check yourself out first. You too, they do your own. Because I feel like we've turned corruption to be something that only our leaders are doing. Yeah. Even the little things that we do that are also corruption, we don't consider it to be corruption. Do you understand? We make it look like anything that the leaders do, we start corruption. Or anything that you do, now you help your friend, that's not corruption. Do you understand? Yeah. So yes, that's why I would tilt more to the fact that if each and every one of us start, tackling ourselves, start changing our mentality, our mindset, our actions, I feel like we'll get better. And this democracy that we are actually talking about, we'll start seeing
now, there's a way people can listen to this and feel like, oh, okay, maybe not talk about government again. But I think that's not the approach to take towards it. It's not to excuse people who are in authority, people who have responsibility towards us as a nation and as a people, but it's rather to not just put all, the action point or the wake-up call on them alone, but everyone inclusive. So this is how we're going to start today's conversation. Very sober, very reflective, very solution-driven, and I'm super glad that we have our viewers joining us live for today's show. We're going to take a short break now. When we return, we'll look through the papers across the Nigerian newspaper and beyond. Please stay with us. We'll be right back shortly.
I describe myself as a polyhumanitarian, someone who believes politics should be rooted in love for country and empathy for its people. I'm thrilled to introduce to you Politics Uncensored, a show dedicated to tackling the political challenges that matter most to Nigerians. This is more than just a show. It's a space for honest, unfiltered conversations about the issues that shape our nation. From policy reforms to elections, leadership tussles to governance at all levels, and the overall political landscape in Nigeria. We will dive deep into how politics is impacting our everyday lives. So join me on this journey as we challenge the status quo, spark dialogue, and work together to build a brighter future for Nigeria. Let's make our voices heard and drive the change we deserve.
Good morning and welcome again to our breakfast show this morning and our democracy special edition, Ways Breakfast. Of course, if you're yet to subscribe to our YouTube channel, head on now to the official Upgrade TV. Click the subscribe button, like, share the link, tune into channel 145 on your Go TV, and don't miss this for anything. Our phone lines are also open so that we can get to hear your thoughts on matters that are really pressing. You can call us via 070250077749 or 0701424240. Now it's time for the head newspaper reviews, and we have the international papers and the local papers. So God's Beauty would lead us with the international paper.
All right, straight into the international paper, we're taking South China Morning Post today. And at the left-hand side, top left, we have the rigid rules on HK-bound cars. Next to that, tech seeds are bearing fruit. Next to that as well, we have Lee Sig's closer ties with the EU, that's the European Union. Beneath that, police chief vows vigilance against lingering threats. And at the right-hand side of that, we have city braids for whoop tip. Then just beneath that, that's the main headline on the newspaper. We have Trump declares done deal on rare earth student visa. And bottom of the newspaper, we have reforms aimed to turbocharge Shenzhen's AI and aviation endeavors. So the headline I want to quickly talk on is the headline. That's the main headline of the newspaper. We have Trump declares done deal on rare earth student visas. So we have President Trump announced a trade framework with China that includes China supplying rare earth elements and magnets upfront to the United States, crucial for industry like defense and clean energy. Now, the United States would allow Chinese student visas, reversing an earlier plan to revoke them. As part of the agreement, the United States will maintain a 55% on Chinese imports, including existing and new duties, while China keeps a 10% tariff on American goods. So, I mean, from my own standpoint, I'm looking at this and I'm like, Trump. But then, but then I feel like the fact that China agreed to this temporary plan or this agreement, temporary agreement, because I think it's supposed to be for 6 months. So, I mean, if the fact that they agreed to it actually means that they are okay with, you know, what Trump wants from them, right? Because, I mean, to be honest, I feel like this is a lot. The first one is, you know, asking for their rare earth elements that can be, you know, be used more like everything around their electric vehicles, their smart bombs, the smartphones, you know, and all of those normal things that China produces. So the fact that you're asking, you know, asking them for it, and you're also imposing 55% on all their goods. I mean, I feel like that's a lot. Why China is just on 10%. And I think one other thing that, you know, United States is doing in order for them to, I mean, giving to giving to China in order for them to, you know, get all of these things. That's the what's the name? The rare earth elements. What they are doing for China is, you know, revoking their. Reversing to revoke their student visa. So that means China students can actually now go to the United States to study and all. But yeah, like I said, I mean, from my own standpoint, I'm like, I feel like the United States actually know what they're doing. And that's why I'm saying Trump. But then if China feels like, you know, this agreement is okay, who am I? Yeah, that's all I have for you on the newspaper today.
Very interesting. I think the local papers has more interesting details, honestly.
Okay.
The Punch has the major headline, Screaming Democracy Day Tension. Protesters mobilize as Tinubu addresses NAS. Protesters target NAS complex, Eagle Square and others. Security on high alert nationwide. Police talk tough. Organizers vow to rally against hardship and insecurity. Above that, we see June 12th, Nigeria Cybercrimes Act threatens free speech and investment. 3 decades after Abiola has Nigeria betrayed June 12. Blackout alert. Federal government commences crucial grid servicing. On 2027 update, Wike teases opposition and Tinubu court ministers for APC. Below that, we see 6 vehicles burnt, traffic paralyzed in Lagos, Ibadan, tanker explosion, air rage, Oshomole, air peace, and fiery showdown. Amechi slams Tinubu policies in fresh outburst. And we have the last story here reading, floods ravage 180,000 farms across 30 states. You know, on a day like this, honestly, having to see the number of not so interesting news on the papers shows us that as a nation, we have a very long way to go. I'm not here to spell doom to anyone, but to let you know that there's actually a very long way to go. So coming this morning, first of all, before I even go to the major details of today, I'm really pissed to see that there is still stories about tanker explosion again and again and again. Because it was just not so long ago, I saw on a particular influencer status where she had gone to like administration in Ibadan, and coming back, she was just very lucky to have escaped a particular tanker explosion that took people's lives. And this is another one here. 6 vehicles were burnt, traffic paralyzed. Do you understand? A lot of things happened because of tanker explosion, which I feel many times are very, how do I put it? They're very avoidable. I don't want to say that bad things don't happen, disasters don't happen, but for something like this, I can tell you for a fact that they are very avoidable. Because if you look at the roads, you know that this is a call for disaster. If you look at the way the roads are, I don't want to really go about that whole topic again because I don't want to digress from the real issue for today. But seeing this news again that lives are being lost, it shows that if we really can pay attention to the solutions that people put out through different means, maybe we would stop having many of these disasters. And I'm saying this from a pain point because I don't like seeing stories that have people losing their lives because of negligence and carelessness from people. It's quite sad. And I was saying again that coming to work this morning, so I passed Lekki toll gate. First, I saw it on someone's status that, you know, the president is going to be not going to be giving his speech today because of the whole NAS protest. And like, really? Usually, when there is like a celebration like this one, Democracy Day. I think the other protest we saw recently was on when the Nigerian police force were having their special day. So anything that has to do with the nation celebrating something that is supposed to stand for integrity or purpose. So other bodies that are not saying those things will eventually see it as a reason to protest. I'm like, oh, let me even see how it goes. So I was in the public transport coming to work this morning, and then on Lekki toll gate area, man, I saw a number of police officers lined up and waiting
waiting for you people.
Do you know what shocked me firstly was the comment from people in the bus. I don't understand Yoruba a lot, but I could deduce that they were like, they don't come again and everything. Like, so it was almost like, oh, with this democracy they said, what are we? It was a shout or a different comment of dissatisfaction. So you see that they were pissed that police people were on the road. Well, we're going to maybe open that up later today, but let me show you what the Punch has to say about this. Just give me a few minutes. All right, here I have the papers now. So it says there will be a clash between protesters and security operatives looms on Thursday. That's today. As a Take It Back movement, the rally organizers has resolved to carry out a demonstration at the National Assembly, Abuja, and 19 other locations across the country during the June 12 celebrations. Now, President Bola Tinubu addresses a joint session of the Senate and House of Representatives today as part of Democracy Day activities, setting the stage for a combustible situation. Tinubu had cancelled the previously scheduled nationwide broadcast in commemoration of Nigeria's 26th Democracy Day anniversary. The Director of Information and Public Relations Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Segun Imohese, in a statement on Wednesday, attributed the change to the President's scheduled attendance at a joint session of the National Assembly today. So I think there are, I don't know how to put it, the story is not really so clear to me, and I have to really admit that, because I was expecting, you would really expect that on a day like this, the president would come out to give his speech, the usual, protocols and all of that. So seeing that, it was cancelled, I was thinking maybe it was because of the protests that it was cancelled. But here he's saying that for something else. But let's see how it turns out. We don't really have all the updates here because nothing has been done. We're just seeing people just across, the nation, and speculations of this particular protest. And like we've always said, does protests really work in our country? We're going to find out at the end of the day if anything is going to happen. Let me take you quickly through The Guardian, then we wrap up this session and have our hot topic for today. The Guardian has here on the 32 years on, mixed feelings, tingers of regret as Democrats relieve ghost of June 12. Tinubu awaits Wike's defection as PDP Momodu caution on civilian dictatorship. How My Wife Rescued Me from Abacha's Men by Bamidele. Furore over renaming of ICC after Tinubu amid 39 billion naira renovation scandal. Air Peace, Oshomole bicker over unruly behavior at Lagos Airport. Demand for foreign goods falls as Nigeria imports drop by 7% in first quarter. Fast Soranti advocate Nigeria's return to 1963 Constitution. US, Britain, Canada and others advise federal government against abusing Cybercrime Act. 8 killed, 80 homes razed in Plateau community. Well, that's all the story that we can take this morning for the papers. And of course, we'd like to hear your thoughts and your what you can predict from the supposed protest that is going to happen today. What do you think about it? How is it looking like in your area? Would like you to feed us in. We also want to get updates from you as well. We'll take a short break now, and when we come back, we're going straight to the hot topic for today. The topic today is on the democracy that we desire to commemorate the June 12th celebration. So please stay with us. We'll be right back shortly.
Life is made up of moments, some that fill us with joy, others that test our strength. Welcome to Heartlines. This is our space to explore the highs and lows of human connection, the love, the heartbreak, and resilience that shapes our life. From relationships to friendships, parenting to partnerships, and so much more. Every week, we share stories and conversations that define us, navigating love, separations, the struggles of parenting, dealing with anxiety and managing the pressures and stress of life. Real conversations that bring us closer, helping us heal, grow, and connect. So join me Mondays through Fridays at 10 p.m. for Heartlines, the show where we'll connect hearts, have real conversations with real people, one story at a time.
Welcome back, viewers. Our topic today is on the democracy that we desire. Today is not just June 12th, it is the Democracy Day in Nigeria. And while the day is now marked on calendars and spoken of in speeches, its true meaning still echoes far beyond ceremony. June 12, 1993 was the day millions of Nigeria, irrespective of religion, ethnicity or class, voted with one voice. It was a day of unity, hope and a shared dream for a better Nigeria. That election, which produced Chief MKO Abiola as winner, was widely acclaimed as the freest and fairest in our history. But that dream was short-lived. The results were annulled by the military regime of the time, triggering protest, resistance, and a long, dark silence in our democratic journey. Chief Abiola's arrest and eventual death while defending his mandate became the prize of a nation's democratic awakening. And though justice came late, history caught up. In 2018, the Nigerian government officially recognized June 12th as Democracy Day and posthumously honored MKO Abiola, shifting national recognition from May 29 to this very date. But recognition alone cannot replace reform. We must ask ourselves, have we truly built the democracy June 12th symbolized? Have we earned it or merely inherited the shell of it? Yes, we have enjoyed 25 years of uninterrupted civilian rule, but democratic governance is not about transitions between elections. It's about the quality of leadership, the strength of our institution, the protection of civil liberties, and the participation of the people. It is about trust, something many Nigerians today still struggle to place in the hands of public office holders, from persistent electoral irregularities to rising insecurities, from voter apathy to economic exclusion. Democracy we live in is still a work in progress. But the question remains again, what kind of democracy do we truly desire? And what will it take to build it? To help us unpack this critical question is someone whose voice has become a strong force for youth inclusion, policy reforms, and national development. He's a respected youth leader and policy analyst, a consistent advocate for good governance and citizen engagement. Joining us today is Abdulmumin Edidi. Welcome to the show.
Happy Democracy Day.
Happy Democracy Day. We're very happy to see you today. I was telling my co-anchor today that I didn't wear green and white, to be in the feel and the moment. And I'm seeing my guests too wearing purple and white. So I guess we're all fine with the colors. The colors don't matter at this point. But let's go straight into the conversation. And I'd maybe like us to start with a little bit of history. I want to assume that you were quite young during the 1993 elections. And I want to ask what June 12th now represents for the generations of Nigerians today.
Okay, thank you very much, and I'm happy to be here. First, I'd like to commiserate with the people who lost their lives and people who lost their loved ones at yesterday's ghastly incident on Lagos-Ibadan Highway. I think we need to do more in terms of duty of care as to road users, as well as from the government perspective in keeping the roads safe for all. So when it comes to the issue of June 12th, I think that there is no better day to be described as Democracy Day other than June 12th in this country. The earlier mistake, I will call it the mistake of making May 29th Democracy Day. Maybe for those who did it, they had their reasons, but I think there's no better day than June 12th. It symbolizes struggle for self-rule. It symbolizes struggle for inclusion. It symbolizes struggle for the voice of the people being heard. And of course, if you look at history, the owner of that mandate, the person whom Nigerians bestowed that mandate of June 12 upon, eventually laid down his life for it. And that's paying the supreme price. So, I mean, June 12 symbolizes everything that has to do with our democracy today. And I think today we are about 26 years on. So, I mean, it's just what it is.
Thank you so much. So I would love you to, expatiate a bit, right, on what does democracy actually mean to you as a person, right? And who do you think is responsible for a change? I mean, speaking to the topic now, we're talking about the democracy that we deserve, the democracy that we desire, right? So let's talk about who exactly is even responsible for this change. Is it the electorate? Is it, the elected leaders? I want us to just talk about it a bit.
Okay, so the thing is, for me, democracy represents, having the people's voices heard, right? What we operate in Nigeria is representative democracy. The people go to the polls, we submit our mandates to a certain individual to then speak on behalf of all of us, be it at the local government level, the state level, the federal level, representative level like legislature or executive. That is what it is. And then we have separation of powers, right? We have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary, which balances the powers of both the legislature and the executive. So democracy for me means that the voice of the people is heard, the will of the people is upheld, and then the lives of the people is, improved. As to if the kind of democracy we have today is what we truly desire, or who is responsible for the democracy. Majorly, the people are responsible for the democracy that we have. How do I mean? The leaders that we have today in government did not drop from heaven. And they are not the same people that were there in 1960. As much as a lot of young people like to think, oh, we've been hearing these people's names for ages. Yes, you would hear people's names for ages because they've been on the corridors for that long. And it means that the young people of today must also ensure we get to the corridor now so that we can always be in that corridor for so long. Being on the corridors is different from being in office, right? There are a lot of people who are power brokers, there are a lot of people who are lobbyists and all sorts of people. But ultimately, the duty of running the affairs of the country lies on those who were elected, right, into office. Having said that, the people are basically responsible for democracy. The leaders we have today, be it the president, the senate president, the chairman of local government, came from amongst us as a people. They were not imported. They were not imposed on us from, external forces. We elected them, regardless of how we want to say it, right? So it means that right from amongst us, we must begin to pay attention to accountability. As small as kids in primary school are, we should instill the values of accountability in them.
Yeah.
Ensure that when someone does wrong, he gets the reward for doing wrong. When someone does right, he gets the reward for doing right. And this is what we will carry on forward. Most of the people who get into office today did not just become corrupt. They did not just become bad. They did not just become people without empathy for others. They must have been in having these traits in them all along. And because nobody ever accustomed them, nobody ever stopped them, nobody ever questioned them, nobody ever, meted out any form of justice to them, no matter how small, is why they were emboldened, to do worse at the level that they find themselves now. So ultimately, it's for the people. Look, I tell people, if you say you go to the polls, your vote do not count, keep going to the polls. One day, the change we desire will happen. But the moment you stay back and decide to say, oh, because our votes, we think our votes did not count or our votes did not count, then we will not go. Politicians love it when you do not vote because it makes manipulation easy. But trust me, if 100 million people go to vote, even those who want to manipulate will be overwhelmed at first. And then their conscience will shrink because you can't manipulate the votes of 100 million people. So if we are over 200 million Nigerians, we expect to see 100, 120 million voters at the polls. And that is when everybody will be serious that, oh, we desire change. And it doesn't stop there, right? When these people eventually get into office, we must learn to hold them accountable. It's not time for you to elect them into office and then go and relax. I remember in 2017, 2018, during the Not Too Young to Run campaign, when we were pushing for that bill to be signed into law by President Buhari, I was part of that coalition. And at that point in time, for us, we were not only at the barricade in terms of advocating, showing our placards or, going to demonstration points. We were also engaging our legislators. I remember I texted my senator on the day that vote was to be passed and say, dear Senator, I am watching you today. I expect you to give your support to this bill, right? The House of Reps members as well. And that is what I've continued to do. And that's what I tell people to do. It's not enough to go to the barricade. We must also embrace constructive dialogue, right? So ultimately, the responsibility of protecting democracy lies upon the people. And of course, this comes with going to the polls to vote the right people. And when I mean the right people, it's not just based on what you feel. Look at the metrics, look at the data, look at history, look at precedents, and make your choice and leave the rest. And so when they get into office, ensure you hold them accountable. One thing about Africans I would like to say is that as Africans, we love respect, we love recognition. And so hypothetically or literally, when an African man is walking on the streets, he wants everybody to hail him, hey, this and that. But the truth is, if someone does wrong and you keep hailing him or her, you are emboldening such person.
Yeah, I
But
get
if a person does wrong or is corrupt or goes against the people and you literally just ignore their existence, then they will come to realization that something is wrong.
Ultimately, honestly, I would really agree with you there where you say democracy really lies in the hands of the people, in how we show resilience, towards election, take away apathy, and many of the things that you have mentioned. So looking through your bio, I've seen how very engaged you are with youth participation and some of the comprehensive studies that you have done, quite commendable, pardon me. And I'd like to ask a question around that. So with over 60% of Nigeria's population under 30 now, how would you assess the role that young people are playing or not playing in shaping our democracy?
So young people we are doing below par, like really, really low. And it's our fault, and it's also not our fault. You see, the quality of education, and when I mean education, I mean civic education that young people have access to, has impacted how we view things, right? Today, you hear that, hey, a lot of people want to be in, a lot of young people want to be in government. And indeed, a lot of young people are in government as I speak to you. But the problem is, why are they not doing things differently? Why does it seem like they are not representing the will and the voices of other young people out there? It's because they don't know, right? They really do not know, what it is, what it means to move from the point of democracy, from the point of independence to military rule to democracy, and then to move the lives of the people forward. So, I mean, young people, we need to calm down. We need to learn. We need to learn what is happening that is not right, learn what we need to do to correct what is happening that is not right, and ultimately put in the work to do what is going to move our country forward. Because again, most of the leaders that we complain about, the people who give them the advices on how to do money laundering, how to work with crypto, how to do all sorts of things are the young people. And they do this at a price. So
Amazing.
Thank you so much. So I like the part that you talked about we holding the people in office accountable, and I want you to expatiate on that. Right? We've seen people gone. We've seen protests happen. I mean, for the longest of time, I think since 2020, there've been a lot of protests that have been happening of recent times now. That's what I want to emphasize on. So I want us to talk about, how we can actually hold, these people in office accountable. Because to be honest, if we are actually talking about democracy, and if we want us to, expatiate on the democracy that we desire and the democracy that we deserve, we have to first of all start putting some things in check. Transparency and all of those things. We have to see them at, in play. So I want us to just talk about that a bit.
okay, so young people are not homogeneous. Nigerians are not homogeneous as well. We have over 300 cultures and languages in Nigeria, regardless of the Wazobia, right? And young people especially are not homogeneous. We are from different backgrounds, we have different aspirations, we have different challenges and different opportunities are available to us. And because man is born to survive, we'll always explore all of these means in achieving our survival, right? So when it comes to protest, I've always mentioned that protest should be viewed as a project. And as every project that has a beginning, has a timeline, has a strategy, and has an ending, we should not see protest as something we jump at every given opportunity because it devalues the meaning of that protest, right? If government sees that, every now and then this same set of people at every given opportunity, they want to protest, they would see you as nuisance. And it's unfortunate. There's a protest going on in the United States presently, the ICE immigration protest.
Yes.
That protest is a project, right? It might not be perfect, but it is a project. And so the people who are engaging in it, they have listed their plights, what they want, the reforms they want to see. And so the moment the government says, we've done this, we've approved this, we've rectified this, they withdraw. But what we see in Nigeria is time in, time out, we continuously come out and we just want to protest. And that's not right. There are so many other means. Unfortunately, look at the NSAS protest. When the NSAS protest started, it took some well-meaning or right-thinking young persons to say, look, let's draw up an agenda. And then they drew up that 5-point agenda. Before then, there was no agenda. And it was just basically head action or head movement, right? We had no direction. So protest is good, but we must be very strategic with it. As a matter of fact, it should be the last resort. Should explore. In fact, I'll prefer that we explore an option of recalling a particular legislator before going to protest. Because when you make a move to recall a particular legislator that probably moves a distasteful bill or motion on the floor of the parliament, it makes more sense to me, than saying immediately we're heading to the barricades. Because again, you would meet resistance.
Right.
So let's explore alternative means of engaging government other than protest. Otherwise, we'll be seen as aggressive. And aggression will meet resilience or resistance.
All right, Abdulmumin, we're definitely going to open up this conversation even more. But right now, we have to take a very short break. And when we return, God's Beauty has more questions. And of course, I also have questions. So please stay with us. We'll be right back shortly.
Thank you.
Tell us you're a Nigerian without saying a word. Energy security is one of the most pressing issues for many developing countries like Nigeria. And if there's going to be any meaningful progress, addressing our energy issues is non-negotiable.
I need to see light for my house. Make them do something.
Band A is expensive. I literally have to turn off all my appliances just to reduce costs.
We need light.
Introducing the Energy Outlook, your go-to show for everything energy. Every week, we'll bring you the latest insights, innovation, and in-depth analysis of Nigeria energy sector. From policy discussions to regulatory insights, we'll analyze the key decisions influencing growth and sustainability in the energy sector. We'll bring you the human stories behind the headlines, giving you a personal perspective on the broader energy challenges. Join me every Friday at 6 p.m. for the Energy Outlook, your guide to the future of energy, where energy means business.
Welcome back, viewers. So we're discussing the democracy that we desire. And of course, we can't take our eyes off the impending protest that is happening today. And during our conversation with Abdulmumin, he mentioned that protests should be seen as a project, something that comes with a lot of strategy so that we do not always meet resistance. And that was very profound. So God's Beauty has a question, a follow-up question on that.
Yes, I wanted to ask, right, if you say that, we should not go for protest, which, to be honest, I agree with you 100%. Now, what other things do you think that we should explore? Because, to be honest, I feel like an average Nigerian actually doesn't know all of those things. And that's why I want you to expatiate on that. Because for any little thing that happens, you automatically hear them say, we they go protest. Go protest to do what? In short, I remember there was a time where, they wanted to go out to protest, and I can't remember what time that is, but I know it was after 2020. And I remember, even the president, some governors of the state already came out to say, no, people should not protest. We've heard you people, we'll do something about it. But no, these people still went out to protest. And back of my head, I'm like, the people that you want to tell these things, it's not like they don't know it. They know these things already. So why exactly are you still going to the streets? So I want you to tell us, right, what other, things can we explore as citizens? Because to be honest, I think this is something everybody needs to hear.
Okay, so I'll start by commending you for the show, right? I'm sure you've been doing this for a long time, but the show that we are on right now is one of those very important means, of engaging the public and engaging the government, right? Because this is a platform to get the voice of the people heard. And it's one of those means that we need to explore. Um, Other means, right? You heard me when I mentioned that I'll prefer that people put energy into recalling a particular elected official
Yes.
than going to the protest. How do I mean? A lot of people don't even know they are representatives.
True.
The representative is supposed to make easy the job of the president or the governor.
Right.
The governor cannot handle everything, and that's why you have representative representing all parts, of that community, right? So when you engage a particular representative and you discover that that person doesn't have the requisite skill to get the job done, or that person is aggressive, or that person is inaccessible, then you know that this is not the right person for this role.
Right.
It's either you strategize to recall that person, or you strategize to vote out that person in the next election. And from what I've observed in the political space, to be fair, we have a lot of leaders who are really willing to do the right thing, but they lack the support of the people. When I mean support, they lack organic support of the people. If a particular leader tries to do certain things today, the political actors will gang up, cook up all sorts of things in the media to ensure that person doesn't return at the next election. And the joy of every politician is to get re-elected. What would such person do in that kind of situation? You prioritize your re-election, and that's unfortunate. But if the people are informed enough to take an informed decision, to see what is going on and say, no, we will keep supporting this person, those political actors will back out. And that's why I said the role of protecting democracy ultimately lies on the people. Even if we are not well educated in terms of civic education or any other thing, it is our duty to continuously strive to be informed, to be educated, so we can always take informed decisions. That is on one means. The other means is at every law or legislation that the National Assembly makes, there's what they call public hearing. It might be expensive to go for everybody, but let's look for those people who are trusted amongst us, who will go to those public hearings in the National Assembly complex and engage the people. Sometimes they even do it by geopolitical zone, a lot of times, because they know a lot of people cannot attend. So maybe in the South, they can decide to choose River State. In the South, they can decide to choose Oyo. In the North, they can decide to choose Kano, where the legislators will go and engage the public. Unfortunately, the people that attend most of these public hearings are people who are political actors themselves, who just want to see one senator, one House of Rep member or the other, and not the ordinary people who want to get their voices heard. And so when the ordinary person goes there and you see that there is resistance, people don't want you to get access into that place, which happens oftentimes, then it's a good time that's a good cause to pick for protest, because why am I being denied entry into a place which is called public hearing? So these are little things we need to look into. And when we see those protests as projects, it will help us resolve issues, strategically. Apart from that, young people need to vote. Young people need to engage in public discussions, right? A lot of young people today, they just like the cruise and the banters of the whole thing, but that's not the real thing. For instance, in universities today, we have student union. Do you know that student unions, youth parliaments, youth councils are effective means of youth inclusion? Because already you have a platform where you're already practicing democracy at a micro level. You get supporters, you get opposition. You move motions, you support motions, you vote, you counter vote. These are effective means of youth inclusion. But what do we see at most student union levels today? We see massive corruption. You see young people embezzling their student dues and all sorts of things. So why not curb it from that level? As a student union leader, I was sitting on my school's governing council. I had first-hand access to what was going to happen, the 5 years plan of the institution. And so I made that point of call to ensure that I was learning enough that when I look into the future, I am practicing what I hope to see in the future, right? And so these are different means of young people engagement. So of course, there will always be reasons to protest from every now and then, but the important thing is let's explore other active means of engaging government, right? Interestingly, social media makes it easy for us. The government is afraid of social media, whether you like it or not, because they know that once there is an uprising on social media, it will automatically translate into physical, activity. So, I mean, there are a lot of ways, but of course, voting, every young person should make it a point of duty to vote.
All right, thank you so much, Abdulmumin. I'm trying to relate to, when you mentioned student union government in schools, how that is already like giving a grassroots or a foundational feel towards electoral processes and everything. But I will tell you honestly that that is already being frustrated in some institutions. I mean, I know of an institution that had to give their students this, forgotten the form they call it now, indemnity form, almost like crippling, any attempt to want to be involved in electoral processes or the school administration process and everything. And so I'm wondering if we have the solution to some of these things and it is being crippled, it takes us back to square zero. But let's not even go through any of that because I don't want to major on that as the reason why, since they are crippling our efforts, let's not even look at that angle. I'm going to look at the angle of voting now. I'm remembering again that you have mentioned that if we can be more intentional with our voting and election, because you can't talk about democracy and not talk of elections and voting, honestly, because the democracy we're celebrating today, because in 1993 was alleged or supposed to be one of the freest and fairest elections. And today, many Nigerians have lost that trust for election processes. And I want to ask you, what immediate reforms can be made to restore trust and credibility in our elections? Because before our very eyes, 2027 is coming closer than we thought. We don't want to have the recurrence of, maybe 20, 30% of the whole population coming out to vote, right? Because the other 70 feel like, why am I even voting? It might not even count. And that's because they've lost trust and credibility in this election. So let's look at solutions. What immediate reforms can be made to restore this in our elections?
You see, the kind of democracy we run in Nigeria is not even, it's supposed to be representative democracy on papers. But what we run in Nigeria is party democracy. And that's where we need a lot of reforms. And that reform is not going to be on paper alone. I proposed to INEC through Yaga Africa some while back to say that, look, let us segment our elections. Let the executive elections run this year, the legislative elections run 2 years after. Some people say it's going to be expensive, but if the cost of organizing a perfect election is much, check out the cost of misgovernance, right? So, some of the things we need to do when it comes to ensuring transparency in voting, comes with INEC, of course. But the truth is, if a person is sick and you keep going for treatment and you are yet to be cured of your ailment, would you stop going for treatment? That's not going to solve your problem. You just have to keep showing up. And showing up is what is going to prove that resilience over. As a matter of fact, for every time your election, you feel that your vote did not count, turn up in double numbers to the polls. And definitely at some point, we'll get it right. Whatever it is that prevailed on former President Goodluck Jonathan, to accept the decision of elections that year, means that anybody in office, when they see the votes, would also be prevailed upon to accept the results. And that's only happen if the people show up. So people must engage in civic education. I see a lot of, NGOs, non-governmental organizations, or civil society groups today. When they come, you can already tell whom they are supporting in an election, which is quite unfortunate. Because the way politics is if a politician says that you are against him or her, automatically they will go against you. Nobody is going to sit down for you to come and defeat them. It's a game of numbers at the end of the day. And politicians are ready to get those numbers whichever way it comes, especially when they know that, after all, the people are not making informed decisions, in quotes. How do you judge informed decisions? Politicians know themselves.
All right, I think we've lost him temporarily there. Thank God he landed on that informed decision part, because education is essentially one of the major ways we can get electoral processes to be working in our nation. I think generally there's a lot of ignorance for people. And what I see is that people are more, how would I put it? They are more concerned with what will eventually happen for the next administration when it is almost that time. So like 2023 election had passed now, and the citizens are just there going about their lives, complaining of, different things, insecurity, economic reforms and all. But the end point is that you really need to understand what is going to happen in 2027? How can I be more knowledgeable towards it? And I know this is the duty and responsibility of different organizations, both public-owned organizations and private-owned organizations. And I think one major reform, if I'm going to recommend any, is that education should start immediately the last election ends.
Right.
Do you understand?
Sure.
Let's just not push it to maybe for campaign reasons only. It should start immediately. And we've heard many times on this table, it is the duty. It's supposed to be the duty of the INEC, right? To ensure that people are knowledgeable about electoral processes. And looking at what he has mentioned, I think it's going to make sense, having to spread our elections across. I mean, 2023, we had the governorship election. Everybody was thinking, okay, I think our guest is back. Let me not rant too much. We have a very few minutes to wrap up the discussion, Abdulmumin. Are you still with us?
Yes, I'm here.
All right. So, okay, in one sentence, since we're wrapping up very quickly, what does the democracy you desire look like? And what's the first step Nigeria must take together? I know that you've already mentioned it, in all of our conversation, but I want a very summative thing, like a take-home, a call to action in that point as we wrap up the discussion for today.
Democracy is not the best means of governance, right? But it is the most effective and accessible that we have at this point in time globally. And as such, Nigerians should embrace democracy wholeheartedly. Let's ditch every little information about military coming back. You would never like that experience, trust me. So nobody should even push you to think, oh, let's bring that the military. There's nothing the military is going to do for you, right? Our democracy can get better if we take ownership of it. Let's not see it as it is them, it is they, it is you. It is you and I, and that is how we should see democracy. And every time we have opportunity to vote, let's ensure to go cast our vote. Although we should ensure that we are well informed to the best available level of information we might have in making our decision. But we have no better alternative at this point in time other than democracy, and we should protect it with everything we have. Local government elections are coming in Lagos State in July. Ensure you go to vote. It starts from there. Local government leaders are receiving their allocations in billions directly from federal government now. Local governments, yesterday I saw a local government chairman who launched housing scheme. It tells you the amount of money they have at their disposal. If more of them can do that, then imagine the level of access to governance that people at the grassroots will have. So ultimately, let's protect the democracy and let's play our part by voting and ensuring that our votes count. After all, it is our family members that are in INEC, so let's hold them responsible.
All right, that's where we leave the conversation today. And as we mark June 12, let it not just be about remembrance. It should be about responsibility. The democracy we desire is not a distant dream. It's a daily demand. It's how we vote, how we speak, how we hold leaders accountable, and how we ourselves show up as citizens. It's not perfect yet, but it is possible. And to those who have paved the way, those who lost their voices, their freedom, and their lives for this cause, we honor you. To those of us here today, the baton is in our hands. And many thanks to our guest, Abdulmumin Edidi, for sharing his insight and challenging us to think deeper about the kind of Nigeria we all want to live in. Until next time, keep engaging, keep questioning, and above all, keep believing in the power of people to shape their own future. From all of us here at Upgrade TV, where it's breakfast, happy Democracy Day, Nigeria. I'm Oluchi Precious Omenka. See you again tomorrow.
Hello, you. Yes, you. This is Osayome Sale from Ways Primetime. Now, we appreciate your continued support for watching our content, following us across all our social media. But we've noticed, for those of you watching us on YouTube, 88.5% of you who watch our content aren't subscribed to our channel. Why? Now, if you are enjoying our content, you enjoy our shows, and you want to stay updated on all things Ways, it's time to hit that subscribe button below. Now, subscribing isn't just for you. It's for the growth of our channel. It helps us get bigger and better. With your support, we can continue to bring even more intriguing and exciting content. How about you subscribing right now and being a part of our community?